All right, they want us to find the zeros of this polynomial function and then determine the multiplicity and the behavior of those zeros on the graph. So what I want to do first is I want to graph this. And this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so this is the basic shape of this graph. From left to right, it's going to start coming down. It's going to hit the x-axis right here and bounce off. Okay, they're going to say that it touches and then turns around. And then over here, it's going to cross straight through the x-axis. So how many zeros does this graph have? Well, it has 2 zeros. It has one right here where it hits the x-axis, and then it has one right here where it crosses through the x-axis. And let me label where these zeros are. The smaller zero is over here at -4, and the larger zero is over here at 5. Now, if you go look at this polynomial function over here, you can probably figure out where those numbers come from. A zero of a graph says, what can I plug in for x here and here and make the whole thing equal 0? All right, and we know that 0 times anything is 0. So the way to find this out is to say, well, anything with an x can be 0. So x minus 5 can be 0, and x plus 4 can be 0. Now, when I solve this one on the left, let me go ahead and add 5 to both sides. I'm going to find out that one of my zeros is at x equals 5. When I solve this one on the right, I'm going to find out that one of my zeros is at x equals -4. So these are my 2 zeros. Okay? You see those numbers, right? Okay. They're going to ask to find the zeros, and you're going to put in the box the zeros are, and I'm going to put them smallest first and largest next. Smallest is -4 and largest is 5. Now, the next thing they're going to do is they're going to ask the multiplicity. The multiplicity is how many times that zero happens. So if we look at the x equals 5, and we look at this factor where it came from, okay, this only happens once. So the multiplicity of 5 is 1. And now when we look at the -4, it actually happens twice. Okay, you see the squared? Let me show you another way to write this. What if we wrote it out twice? X plus 4 times x plus 4. So now you see how that it happens twice. So the multiplicity of the smaller zero, which is the -4, is 2. And then the last question is going to say to determine the behavior of those zeros on the graph. Well, if you have a multiplicity that's even, okay, so 2 or 4 or 6 or 8, let's say even and greater than 1, greater than 0, it's going to bounce off. So you see right here at -4, you see what the graph does? It touches and turns around. And if you have a multiplicity that is odd, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, then that is going to actually cross through the x-axis. Okay, so just to recap, our zeros are where the graph crosses this x-axis. The multiplicity of the zero is how many times it happens. So in this case, it happens once. In this case, it happens twice. And then the behavior is if the multiplicity is even, 2, 4, 6, or 8, it's going to bounce off. And if it's odd, it's going to cross through.